Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Today, we are chatting to Tim Pearson. Tim and his wife Vaughan are the owners of Seven Springs Winery in the lovely Overberg region of South Africa. Tim, thank you for joining us this morning. It's great to have you online. Welcome to our chat.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself and how you became involved in the wine industry in South Africa.
Okay, that's quite a long story, but I'll be as brief as possible. I'm 66 years old. I'm English. I've born and bred in the United Kingdom, but the South African connection. I'll go back a few years. 1994, 1995. My wife and I lived in South Africa with our two young daughters for 6 months. We lived in a place called Nelspruit, which is now, I think, Mbombela, which is in what used to be called the Eastern Transvaal. We were going to buy a small cleaning business over there, but it didn't work out. But we were there for 6 months. So I guess that's where our real passion for South Africa came from. We loved the Kruger Park and we loved the area and things like that. So the business didn't work out, so we came back to the UK. I built my business up over here, which is a commercial cleaning business. And in 2005, my wife and I came back to South Africa for a 3-week holiday. We were in the Cape for 3 weeks. And it was my wife who said, look, if you're still interested in doing something in the wine business, wine industry, let's just have a look and see if there's anything over here. And we visited Hermanus for 2 days, and my wife said, look, if we're going to do anything, this would be a great spot. So came back to the UK, did a few web searches and found a piece of land that was for sale down the Hemelanard Road, and spoke to the owner, went back and purchased 12 hectares of land, and that's how Seven Springs started. Initially, we were going to go in with a few other people who were going to buy similar plots of land and then go in as not as a cooperative, but as a joint venture, if you like. Mm-hmm. They fell by the wayside, so we decided to start our own business up and start up as Seven Springs. And I'll come on to how we got the name later. But that's in a nutshell how it started. I have no experience in the wine industry.
So I was wondering about that, because it's quite a jump from a cleaning business to the wine industry.
Okay, I've always loved wines, and a lot of our holidays when the girls were younger. We have two daughters. Kim, who's 36, and Kate, our youngest, who's 33. A lot of our holidays when they were much younger were camping holidays in France, and they always were in areas which were wine-producing areas, because I've always loved wine. So that's where this sort of the beginning of the knowledge came from, and visiting winemakers and visiting different estates and things like that. And a lot of them were very, very small people, very small farmers. So that's and we didn't have much money in those days, so the holidays had to be done on the cheap, which meant we were taking last-minute cancellation holidays and just going to areas that were beautiful and were full of, full of wine farms.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, the French countryside and the French wine areas are such a joy to visit. Tim, why did you decide to establish a new winery from scratch rather than investing into one that already existed?
Okay, I guess the easy answer for that one, Will, is that I guess I've always loved a challenge, and I think the thing is, yes, I guess it would have been easy. We have a house in Italy, okay, so we have a home in the area where they make the Verdicchio grape or Verdicchio wine in Italy. People say, well, why didn't you set up there? And it wasn't a matter of just sort of investing in a wine farm or something like that. I like to take something from nothing. I enjoy a challenge. But we'd found this piece of land and we felt that we could develop it. We knew the area was good for making Pinot Noir and Chardonnay. We didn't have a lot of money behind us. We didn't have, millions and millions of rand that we could invest in a wine farm. So it's something we had to do from a more, if you like, a more modest start. And by buying some land and then planting that land and then developing it from scratch, gave us the opportunity to do this. And my cleaning business was, we employed 250 people in the cleaning business over here. And that business was making enough money to be able to invest on an ongoing basis in Seven Springs.
That's awesome. It must have been quite a journey from the time you planted the first vines to actually producing the first bottle.
I think that's a bit of an understatement, Will. I mean, look, okay, I mean, I know it's a cliche, but life is a journey. And I think what you have to do, if you're passionate about something, you can find a way of doing it. You have to live within your means, I guess, but it's been an interesting journey. I've had to apply logic to all I do, but we have some good friends over there in the wine industry, so we knew people like Bayers Truter and Ken Forrester and Darnie DeVette. We'd met people like this before, we even thought about buying some land over there. And I always felt that the South African wine industry, or people within that industry, were very much united, very much pro South Africa, very much pro the winelands, very much pro their own products, and were people I saw had a real passion for what they're doing. But that's the same with anybody making wine or anybody in farming. I think people don't go into this type of business to make a lot of money. If that had been something that was high on my agenda, then we wouldn't have gone into the wine business. We'd have invested money in property or something like that. But I think the most important thing for us was, and I'm very much involved in Seven Springs with my wife as well. Vaughan, my wife, works with me, and we work very much as a team over here. But so that's the scenario there.
Well, that's amazing. I mean, it's true that what you're saying is that farming, I think, lends itself, to be a community type operation in the first place, and it's very nice that you can actually, do your business, and you guys doing it as a couple is amazing. Seven Springs, an interesting name. Where did that come from?
Very good. Okay. Well, if I tell you, we purchased the land in 2006, and then we planted vines 2007, 2008. So we actually have sort of 8.5 hectares of planted grapes. But so the fact was, we had time to think about names and do marketing and start getting things into shape. The name Seven Springs took us about 4 years to come up with.
Wow.
It was only we didn't want to use something like Pearson Family Vineyards and we just couldn't come up with a name that we really felt was appropriate. Anyway, we decided that our first harvest would be 2010. It was going to be 2011. But in November 2009, Peter Finlayson, who is Bouchard Finlayson, co-owner and winemaker, Peter said, look, if you want to make wine next year, i.e. in 2010, you can do so, because these grapes are good enough to make wine. So we were then sort of a year ahead of where our plans were. And then we thought, oh, we've got to come up with a name. We've got to come up with somebody to make our wines and somewhere to make the wines if we're going to make them in 2010. So we then started looking for an appropriate name, and it was actually my wife Vaughan who was looking online at Caledon, which is our nearest town. Seven Springs is between Caledon and Hermanus, and Vaughan was reading that Caledon has 7 springs, 6 of them thermal springs, 1 cold spring, and we said, that's it, that's the name. We had that eureka moment. So that's where 7 Springs came from.
Oh, that's an awesome story. What's a bit of inspiration there? So
and I thought if winemaking is going to be half as difficult as coming up with the name, we might as well get out of it now.
Well, I mean, now you're talking about that, I would like to ask a bit about your, your winemaking philosophy, and also tell us a bit more about the wines that you are producing.
The grapes we planted were Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay for the white grapes, and Pinot Noir and Syrah for the red grapes. So we make 6 wines in total, an oaked and an unoaked Chardonnay. We make a Sauvignon Blanc. We make a Syrah Rosé, which is only in its 2nd vintage. We've only made two rosés.
Interesting.
We make a Syrah or a Syrah or a Shiraz, if you want to call it Shiraz, and a Pinot Noir. And I guess our winemaking philosophy is minimal intervention. We only use sprays and chemicals as and when they're required. So we keep it, minimal intervention is a very difficult term to sort of quantify, but we keep it as naturally as possible. We're not organic, we are not biodynamic, because we have next door an apple farmer who uses chemical sprays and things, and we're close to people that are using chemical sprays. So we didn't know enough about organic farming, living 6,000 miles away. So minimal intervention is what we do in the actual vineyard and the winery.
That's interesting. The oaked Chardonnay that you are making interests me, because it was a fashion in the 90s in South Africa to almost over oak the Chardonnay. And
correct.
So can you tell me a little bit more about that? That's quite interesting.
Yeah, from day one, we've only ever used 2nd and 3rd fill barrels for our oaking regime, if you like. So we use barrels that have already been used a couple of times, 3 times before.
I assume that is because your vineyard is quite new.
Yeah, and the other thing is, neither my wife and I like overly oaked wines. Why kill off good fruit with a heavily oak? I think if you're going to add oak or add oak barrels, what you need to do is to use the barrels or use the oak as a complement and not as a dominating factor. And I think with winemaking and wine, I think the most important thing is having the right balance. So when we started the farm, when Peter Finlayson said, look, you can make a wine in 2010, we had to find a winemaker. So a very good friend of ours, a guy called Guillaume Nell, said he'd had a young lady working for him for the season. He was a winemaker at Baxburg at the time. Okay. Guillaume came up with a young lady called Rihanna van der Merwe, and Rihanna was 24 at the time. So we took Rihanna on, in very late 2009 to make our wines in 2010. We didn't have a winery at the time, so we made our first wines at Iona in Elgin. And in subsequent years, we made our wines at a place called Almankirk in Elgin, until moving to our own winery facility 2.5 years ago.
Oh, awesome. I see you've established quite a good network of international distribution, and that must have taken a lot of hard work and sweat. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because that was actually established in quite a short time for such an extensive network.
Yeah, I think the thing is, it's about reaching out to people, but it's also difficult is the right word, because you can't meet these people face to face often. If you go to shows like Provine, and we've been to Provine twice, and it's such a big show and has so many people going on. I think what I tried to do to start with was target people who I felt would be suitable for importing our wines. I didn't have a hit list of, look, let's have a look at this country first and that country second. I think what we wanted to do, the most important thing, was working with people that have a similar philosophy to us, people that you felt could represent your brand in their country, but also people we felt we could work with on a personal basis and help build our business while building their business. And we've had some people that we've dealt with. We've had, we had an importer in the USA. Unfortunately, his business stopped. Him and his wife were divorced, and we were ended up owing us a lot of money and things like that. So you have all of these sort of you can do as much homework as you can on people, but we have some good importers. We have some people we've been our longest importer is a guy called Morton, and he's based in Denmark. He has a very small wine shop called Vingaven, which is in the north of Denmark. But he's consistently orders our wines. We go over every couple of years and do wine tastings with his customers. And it's a matter of building relationships up and actually working with people. So yes, we have a number of networks. We're actually looking at the moment at extending or expanding our international markets. But we only produce 50,000 bottles a year, Will. So we're not we don't produce a massive amount of wines. And certainly from our perspective, we opened a tasting room about 18 months ago, which is obviously closed during this current crisis. But that's obviously that's bringing more and more people in, both visitors locally and international visitors, because we are close to Hermanus, international visitors to our vineyard and our winery.
Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that our winelands have some of the most fantastic places you can visit. Make sure you follow us on Instagram at Visit Winelands, and we will keep you updated with the latest offers and other special deals in the winelands. That is on Instagram at Visit Winelands. Now, let's get on with the show. Talking about the US, I see that you've got a brand called Over the Mountain, specifically that you branded for the US market. Is there a story behind this?
Well, would you think there's a story behind it?
Oh, yes, that's why I'm asking the question, I'm a curious person.
Of course, there's a story behind it. The fact is, there is, if you do a web search, you'll probably find that there's a Seven Springs based in Missouri, a very small winery based in Missouri called Seven Springs. There's also a small vineyard, it's about 22 acres in acre terms, in Oregon called Seven Springs Vineyard. Okay. The vineyard it's just used to produce Pinot Noir grapes, but they then sell the grapes to one or two producers who produce the wine under their own label, but under Seven Springs Vineyard. So we felt if we're going to sell our wines in America, the only way of doing it was to come up with some kind of alternative brand rather than looking at legal battles of saying, look, we're called Seven Springs, etc., etc. So we decided to come up with a different name for America, and that name took me about 10 minutes, which is quite a change from the Seven Springs
I was
name.
just thinking that it's like it's quite a difference in choosing a name in time frame.
And very easily, well, the name Seven Springs came from the name Over the Mountains, came from almost a literal translation of Overberg, which is the area that we're in.
Of course.
So Overberg, you being Afrikaans, I guess, would know what the literal translation of that is. Or so it was very, very simple to come up with that name. We hadn't even thought about it before, and then when we thought, oh, we've got to come up with an alternative name, it just sort of snapped, and we thought Overberg, Over the Mountain. Yeah, let's go for that.
So that's interesting to me that you mentioned that you're obviously not producing in bulk, and I've talked to a lot of wineries before that are scared of the US market because they feel they cannot really supply the demand that would come from the US. Have you had any areas in that problem or problems in that area?
No, I think what you have to do is to choose. Look, the important thing I think is choosing an importer, and it's no good us going for an importer that is states wide or covers all of the United States, because obviously we don't have enough wine. We couldn't supply a fraction of what they would look for. So you have to choose importers that probably have, we have an importer at the moment, for instance, in Florida. They're called PG Fine Wines. They're based near Fort Lauderdale, but they only cover Florida, and they only cover the restaurants, mostly restaurant business. And so, they are of a size which we can supply and look after, and it works well. So it's about not trying to chew off more than you can eat.
So my next question is about, your location. I mean, you're so well located between tourism hotspots. They're close to Cape Town, close for lots of international visitors in a place like Hermanus. And are you currently looking to expand your tasting room and maybe build a restaurant or accommodation or any of those things that most of, the bigger farms are doing? Is that in your future plans?
Look, I don't know. I mean, no is the simple answer to the question. We have a tasting room. It's quite small. It's very personal. It very much fits in with our philosophy as people, and I guess our brand. What we are, we're very inclusive people. We're very welcoming people. And anybody coming to the tasting room, it's a matter of giving them a personal tasting rather than a generic tasting. You don't want to employ people in a tasting room that goes through a sort of a checklist and say, this wine is X amount of percent alcohol. It was harvested on this date. So when people come and taste wines with us, it's either Whitney, the lady that runs our office, or Gus. We have a winemaker now called Gus Dale. Gus has been with us 2 years because Rihanna, our winemaker we've grown up with, Rihanna went and is now living in Australia. She met a guy from Australia and decided that he couldn't work in South Africa, so she decided to go and live with him in Australia. But so it's either Gus, Whitney, or Renico, who's our assistant winemaker, who will do the tasting with people when they come on the farm. So we kind of afford to take somebody on full time doing that job because we don't get sufficient visitors. We get quite a few visitors, so it's done by whoever's there. And if my wife and I are there, we usually go and come over to South Africa on there.
Are you open certain times, or do visitors have to make an appointment?
No, we're open daily 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock.
Okay.
So our office, our office is at the winery. We're open 11 till 4. We If people want to come and do a group tasting, for instance, and we have some groups coming in from like we had a group in from New Zealand last year, and I think another one from the Netherlands last year. If somebody's going to bring a tour along of 7, 8, 9, 10 people, just let us know, and then we can prepare for it. But weekends, we open weekends from September until the end of March. We open 11 o'clock until 4 o'clock weekends.
Oh, awesome. Tim, now to something more serious. I mean, this coronavirus, I think, has forced everyone to rethink their business models. And I noticed that you don't have an online shop on your website, as an example. But
No,
do you have any changes or new ideas in mind going forward? Are you seeing any major changes happening?
you said go into something more serious. I thought the wine business was quite serious, but yes. I think what the coronavirus is doing, it's obviously everybody's going into a lockdown mode. And as I said, we live in the UK. We only arrived back in England from South Africa about 11, 12 days ago.
Wow.
But what's happening is more and more people are obviously shopping online now because they're unable to get to the shops. And online was not something we didn't have an online shop. We did actually, our wines were or have been available online through a company called A Buzzer based in Cape Town.
Mm-hmm.
A guy called Nick Plummer has been running and managing A Buzz. He owns a Buzz, but not directly. But we were in the process before this happened of setting up an online portal on our website for our wines, and we have someone who is doing that for us. She's based in Johannesburg. She is in the process, or has been in the process, of setting up an online business for us. I understand online. I mean, we have a company over here called Slurp. It's SLURP, and Slurp are an online wine merchant in the UK, and they've seen an exponential growth in their business, as most online businesses have in not just the UK, but I guess Europe. During the coronavirus situation, people are sitting at home. They can't get out so much. So they're ordering stuff that they would normally get from, say, a bottle store. They're now ordering online because there's a very little option of doing otherwise. But in South Africa, as you probably know, Will, we're not even able to sell wine anymore. We can't export any wines.
Yeah,
So,
it's actually everything is shut down. Yes, I'm aware of that. I think also I saw that some of your European distributors, I think the one in Germany, has an online shop. So
and
that.
Vine is, yes, and Vine is 100% online,
Mhm.
an online wine merchant.
Okay, that's awesome. So, Tim, what is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
Oh, how long is this interview going to take? Well,
I mean, people are sitting at home, so go ahead, to pour your heart out
yeah.
here.
But no, it's not a matter of pouring my heart out. Look, I think the thing is, and I'm not just going to talk about what we've done here. I think if you have a passion for something, like I said earlier, you find a way of doing it. Would I've done something, or would we have done something different if we'd have started again? Yes, maybe, and I think we probably would have done. But I think what it's, I built my cleaning business over here from scratch, and we now employ 250 people. I didn't know a thing about cleaning before I started that business. I started from home because we didn't have any money. So I think I think what you can gain out of life in general is that if you've got a passion for doing something or a desire for doing something, find a way of doing it. I think what the wine industry, what we knew from the start was, we're not going to make a lot of money out of the wine business unless you build a business up and then sell it on. We were not looking to make a lot of money out of the business. It wasn't something we went into because we felt it was something we were going to get rich on, because we knew that was not the case. And I think what we did was we've met a lot of people. We've actually been to a lot of countries that we wouldn't have been to. We've had a really positive experience. We've had negativities along the way. There always are in any business or any venture in life. But, you know, I don't have a philosophy, but, you know, the most important thing as far as we're concerned, and my wife and I are the same, that we're in good health and our kids are in good health. That is most important to us. And just treat people the way that you would like to be treated. We're no different to anybody else. We may have started a wine farm and we may own a wine farm, but that makes us no different to other people. As I said, in our philosophy at Seven Springs is that we're very welcoming, we're very open, we're very inclusive. And I think that the thing is, it's just this business has taken us to places that we wouldn't have been to, and it's given us experiences we wouldn't have had. And I think whatever you do in life, if you have a change of direction in your life, whether it's a job or whether it's a new partnership or whatever, it just throws you in a different direction. And I guess this is what's happened. If we hadn't have gone to Nelspruit, for instance, in 94, 95, to look at buying this cleaning business I told you about, I don't think we'd have been speaking to you now about having a wine business in the Western Cape.
Isn't it amazing? Because at the time you probably, were a bit dejected because the cleaning business didn't take off, and now you ended up in something that you really love.
No, I've never been dejected, because I've always known, as I said, if my wife and I are together, and we've been married 40 years this year, that to me is very important. I think what you have to do is really go back to basics. If something doesn't work out, yeah, it may be a real negative to you at the time, but I think life shows you that what happens, you do something and it doesn't work out. Like I said, it throws you in a different direction. And what was a negative, and we loved Nelspruit, we loved the area of the Eastern Transvaal, but we came back to the UK and we built our business up here. So it just you just get on and do something else.
Awesome. Tim, as my last question to you, can you give us your very own wine quote?
That's a very good answer, and I think the very simple answer is no. I don't have any wine quotes, and if I did say something, it might sound pretty cheesy. So I think okay, I'll give you something. Drink wine and be happy.
Drink wine and be happy. Oh, that doesn't sound cheesy at all. That sounds right to me.
No, I think the thing is, look, I think the wine business it's a great business to be in. You've got some phenomenal winemakers in South Africa. You've got some phenomenal people in the industry. You've got an industry that gets very little support from the government, gets very little support from WOSA. Unfortunately, WOSA is vastly underfunded. But you've got some brilliant people in the South African wine industry that are really driving the industry forward. They're earning the country a hell of a lot of money in exports and in revenue. And, we feel really proud, my wife and I feel really proud of being involved in that industry. And we've made some really good friends, and we've had a lot of positive times.
Well, Tim, it was great chatting to you, and thank you so much for spending the time. I think our listeners will find this very interesting, and I would certainly love to meet you at some point and visit with you.
Well, you'd be very welcome to visit, whether we're there or not. We're there for 2.5 months usually. As I say, it's usually sort of most of January, February, and half of March. But if you ever get to out Hermanus Way or Caledon Way, you will be more than welcome, as any of your listeners will.
Thank you very much, Tim.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Also, for a small donation of 100 Rand, we will list links to your business on our website. Thanks again for supporting About Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on your social media channels. All details and links are in the description. Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Today, we are chatting to Tim Pearson. Tim and his wife Vaughan are the owners of Seven Springs Winery in the lovely Overberg region of South Africa. Tim, thank you for joining us this morning. It's great to have you online. Welcome to our chat.
Thank you.
Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Let's see.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our live stream. I've got Sue Anderson on here. Hi, Sue. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Thanks for joining. Tell us, Sue, I'd love to hear, how is this, so firstly, give us your background and how are you involved in the wine industry?
Well, I look after 5 different brands. I look after Ardie Badenhorst Wines, Colmont, Cap Classique, Catherine Marshall Wines, Dulhoff, and Gilbert Trudeau. So all small little producers. We've obviously, are quite badly affected by this whole situation.
Yes. And how many people are affected in your business, extended businesses there?
Well, I mean, there are tremendous number because, in my personal business, it's just me and my own business because I'm a consultant.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just me personally in my personal business, but obviously all my brands themselves are affected. So it's each of the producers and all of their staff that have had all this knock-on effect. It's been a nightmare.
Interesting. So are you a marketing consultant, in other words? Is this what you do?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
excellent. I just see there's somebody else on the line here as well. I'm struggling to get on with the iPad. If you can just unmute your mic, then we can get you in as well. Hello?
Unmute.
There we go.
You turned it off. Go back to Zoom.
Hello, can you talk a little bit louder?
Unmute. Say hello. Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Okay, I'm fine. I'm just like to listen in. It's John Platter here.
Hi, John. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. And you?
Are you
Good.
actually the John Platter from the Wine Guide?
Yeah.
Wow, thank you for phoning in, John. John, can I ask you a favor? We don't see your videos on the podcast anyway, and it helps with bandwidth. If we can just switch off you and Sue, just switch off your videos, and we'll just talk on the the actual sound.
Is that any better?
Okay. Yes, that's great. Thanks, John.
Okay.
So, Sue, sorry, back. I was talking to Sue here, Sue Anderson. Sue, tell us. You said you're involved with promoting brands. What are the brands doing at the moment while they are struggling to get, their voices heard and the message out?
Well, I think it's very hard. Well, first of all, they can't be selling wine, so I think that they've been communicating directly with their private buyers, possibly online, and so on and so forth. I think it's very hard, and I think a lot of the problem also is that a lot of people have been entering into these Zoom chats and things, and I think a lot of people feel there's been so much out there that they almost get a bit complacent in not knowing whether they should be marketing themselves any further. So, yeah, it's just a difficult situation all round.
I think from a marketing perspective, if you look back in the history of marketing through right from the Great Depression to the two world wars, brands that actually kept on getting their message out there, managed to actually still outperform their peers by a wide margin. So I think it's a wise move for brands to keep on getting their message out there, even if they're not practically in business now. I just want to tell you guys, we've got John Platter from the Platter Wine Guide on the call as well. John, what is your feeling about this whole situation, and also about what wineries should be doing at the moment?
Well, thanks. By the way, I've retired a long time ago, but so I was just listening in. I wanted to listen in and hear more opinions. I mean, opinions on this subject are not, there's no shortage of them at the moment. I mean, we all realize what difficulties there are, and we're trying to think of ways to help out. We can't do much except, occasionally sort of join a few of the efforts to keep a few restaurants and wineries going by buying wines and making orders in advance in the hope that the lockdown will end quite soon and then they can release those wines. So that's a help to some people. And I've been very struck by how the community, the wine community themselves are helping each other at the moment, just knock along and putting out stories that really emphasize how dire this thing is. I mean, if you think of the IMF loan that South Africa's just signed up to, 70 billion rand, we've sort of lost that in revenue in the last few months just by these rather sort of extreme bans on alcohol and cigarettes. Anyway, I'm just here to just listen, actually, and cheer on.
So was I. Sorry, so I was very unprepared for this whole chat. Sorry.
Yeah. So I mean, I understand, and I actually just thought, while you guys are here, let's get your opinion because we never get the chance. So I think the whole thing is we want to get more awareness out there. This is the only thing that we can really do is and the more awareness we create, the bigger the chance that something will change from government's point of view. We hope, but also John mentioned the community working together. It's amazing. We started this Safe SA Wine campaign 9 days ago on Facebook, and we're now knocking on 27,000 people that are locked in here and are all supporting each other. But what's really amazing to me is how the international community, South African expats, and also consumers of South African wine overseas are actually coming and supporting everything. And it just shows that we actually have a quality product out there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, good. Well said.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think. Yes.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
No, from your side, I mean, your brands that you're representing, are they finding also the international guys contacting them to buy all the time?
Yeah, there is definitely some support for sure. I think generally, it's tough all over the world at the moment. So I don't know if the sales, especially with COVID everywhere. So where there were big markets in Japan and in China, let's say, that's already reduced somewhat because of what's happened. So I really think it's all round a very, very tricky situation.
Yes, I think John mentioned the impact of the IMF loan, and I also think the economic impact of the tourism industry closed down. The biggest currently the biggest employer in South Africa is the tourist industry, and the wine industry are employing, I think the number is about 300,000 people. So the extended people that are impacted are in the millions. But the problem is, the longer this go on, the more it's also such a huge earner of foreign exchange. So we've borrowed money in dollars. We're not earning foreign exchange. So the question begs is, how are we going to pay this money back with a rand that's probably going to weaken because we're not getting any foreign exchange in, which is a massive problem. And
Yeah,
uh, uh, you know, uh, and furthermore to that, people not working, not earning income means that at some point they won't be able to service their bank loans, and we could end up going from a crisis of jobs and that to a financial crisis eventually. We could end up in a banking crisis, which would be devastating. So we need to get these lockdowns lifted as soon as possible. That's just my opinion.
absolutely, for sure.
I think that is
Yeah.
absolutely imperative.
Yeah. I mean, we can't do very much. I mean, we've realized that we had to sort of secure hospital beds and all those sorts of things. But the longer this goes on, and the easier it seems like we might be over some of the hump, we've got to guard against another spike, I suppose. But in the meantime, we're shooting ourselves in the foot big time with our overseas markets and our internal markets. And the other sad thing, I mean, there are a lot of sad corollaries to this, but it's turning a lot of people into sort of semi-criminals because there's a little bit of bootlegging going on, and cigarette prices are skyrocketing on the black market. So it is a little chaotic, and the government doesn't seem to be that responsive to some of the problems.
Well, it's interesting. I don't know if any of you two smoke. I'm not a smoker, but everybody I know that smokes, they always have a way of getting cigarettes, and I'm sure it's the same way with people that want to get that need the alcohol will get it somewhere.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
the trouble. Yeah.
Correct. It's just creating a major criminal underworld in all. For smokers' perspective, I'm sure that I don't know what the quality of the cigarettes would be like as well, which is another problem in itself.
If I could put you two guys on the spot here, if you guys were in government.
Yes, somewhat. Sorry. I'm really unprepared.
That's all right. I mean, we
just going live to anybody.
Yes, this is going. Actually, we're streaming live on Facebook on a few pages.
Right.
We're streaming live on Twitter, on Periscope, and we're streaming live on YouTube. So there's quite a few people that's going to listen to this, a few thousand actually, because we've got close to 30,000 people now in our Facebook group, and over time people will listen to this. So this is your opportunity as a marketer to mention your brands. Mention it quickly again while we're talking about this.
Okay, I look after Coleman Classique, fabulous little champagne and Classique brand in Franschhoek. They have been operating since about 1995. JP Colmont came from Belgium with his family and decided they wanted to make champagne one day in their lives, and they found this beautiful piece of paradise in Franschhoek, and so they set themselves up, and they're doing very, very nicely, up to about sort of 50,000 bottles produced at this point in time across their entire range, and they're also still importing bubblies from France. And then I look after Gilbert Trudeau, a beautiful little family winery in near Berrydale in McLean Karoo. And they've got a few wines in their stable. Wonderful family, beautiful, beautiful wines. I've got Adi Badenhorst Wines, one of the top 20 producers in the country. Beautiful wines as well. He's got all sorts of single varietals as well as Based in Scotland, sorry, and a variety of his single varietals as well as his family wines and his secateurs range, which I'm sure a lot of people know about. Catherine Marshall Wines, wonderful female winemaker, one of the top in the country. She's sort of the Pinot queen and producing amazing wines. Sauvignon Blanc, Pinot, her beautiful Shannon's doing very well, very, very well. Greg Sherwood's been talking a lot about that overseas. And Dulhoff Wines, a wonderful winery in Wellington, now also sort of reclassified as Le Mitberg, their own little ward, and producing a large number of award-winning wines as well. So yeah, beautiful, beautiful brands.
Oh, awesome.
And
Are they doing anything?
everyone needs help right now.
Sorry?
Everyone needs help right now, but yes.
So talking about that, are any of your guys offering any specials? I see a lot of the wineries are offering online specials that people can buy now and enjoy later. Do you guys do that as well?
My guys were doing that sort of in the first lockdown, and I had started to get the word out a little bit, but I think at the moment, I think it's got to a point where I'm not sure if there's apathy, but just, I think people are just, they're available to buy online, but I'm not sure, they're not doing massive marketing right now to get lots and lots of interest going. There was a lot in the first lockdown, but I think in the second lockdown, it's been a little less.
I also think, just from my side, is that it's important that, we're talking a lot about wine and, obviously it's a wine industry, but actually the wider industry and that's bringing in a lot of money into South Africa is actually the whole concept of wine tourism. The fact that people actually travel to South Africa, come stay on your wine farms, come spend money on the restaurants and stuff like that. And I think it would be great if your guys could put out more information on what they're going to offer to tourists when they get back here, because I don't know, anybody that's traveled through the world will know that the experience of actually visiting the Cape Winelands and the surrounding area is unique in the world. There's no better place, and we need to get that message out as well. And maybe we need to get people booked for specials. Book now, come stay later type of thing. Why just sell wine? Let's sell tourism as well in advance.
Sure.
We're creating a wine and tourism futures market here.
Absolutely right. No, you are absolutely spot on.
John, I know you're retired, but in terms of feedback from the industry, you're well connected. Do you get any news or any feedback that there might be some change coming on the regulation side, or is it all quiet?
I've heard nothing concrete. Nobody. I wonder if anybody else has. I don't think, the most the government has said is what we all know, is that the ban is under constant review. But that's about it, and that doesn't tell us very much at all.
Well, I think from a business point of view, I think that's the most worrying thing, right? All businesses, the one thing that business hates most is uncertainty. And the big thing here is, if we knew that the lockdown or the ban is going to continue until a certain date, and we know it's going to end at a certain date, at least we can do some planning. But how
you can plan towards it, yeah.
Yeah, how do you plan in your business if you don't have any certainty or any indication of what's happening? It's just hanging a dark cloud hanging over your head, which is not great for business confidence.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, it's all very worrying, and it's a sort of misty cloud out there. We don't know what's going to happen. It's miserable, and we need some wine to sort of cheer us up, don't we?
Absolutely, John. The sad thing is I'm sipping coffee. It's still early in the morning. It's 9:20, but I'm drinking coffee, and I'm thinking it would be nice to actually maybe open something. So maybe I wait an hour or two, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry to call this to an end, but I've got another meeting now. I'm so sorry. I had no idea. I thought I'd just be a participant listening in. So I'm so sorry, but I'm going to have to call this short.
Thank you for being here. And if anybody else wants to call in, please do so. We appreciate you. And
Shame.
leave your
Thanks.
details in the comments, so that people can actually contact you. You
Right.
know, and yeah, maybe you can pick up some contacts from this. And at any time you want to call in again, just please do. I mean, I'm going to
Wonderful.
do
I really
this.
appreciate it. It's wonderful that someone like yourself has got this platform going. We really, really appreciate it. And I'm sorry I'm not prepared for this. So if I'd known a bit more about what I was doing today, then I would have obviously come a lot more prepared. But thank you for mobilizing the rest of us to do this. I think it's much appreciated.
I
And
think I think, Sue, just from our point of view, right? I mean, I know that preparation is important, but I think at this stage we're in a situation where action comes first, and we just do, right. The more we do, and the
yeah,
more people we mobilize, and the faster we do it, the quicker we will get changed. So thank you for actually, just flying with it, and I'm looking forward to getting you on here again. So call back anytime.
all right, brilliant. Thank you. Take care.
Ciao, ciao, Sue.
I'm afraid I'm sort of in Sue's shoes as well. I'd like to congratulate you for what you're doing and thank you. And I'll keep watching the press and other things, and hope to speak to you again sometime soon. Thank you.
Yeah, John, at any time if you want to call in and and you've got a message, if you have a message for our listeners and stuff like that, it would be great. We are live here every day. We're going to have 3 live sessions: an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and an hour in the evening from 7 o'clock. And giving people the opportunity to phone in and give their opinion and whatever.
Yeah,
So it's a platform to people to just basically say what they like.
yeah,
Right? Come here and give your
good.
opinion.
All
So
right. Thanks very much.
thank you,
Okay.
John. I appreciate you.
Cheers.
Have a
All the
nice day.
best. Right. Same for you.
Okay, guys, we just had Mr. John Platter from the famous John Platter from the Platter Wine Guide on here, and we had Sue. Sue gave us a rundown on the brands that she's supporting. If there's anybody else that want to phone in, please call us. We're going to be on here for another 40 minutes. Anybody can call in. I'm glad that we had 2 quick callers this morning. I see some comments here in the live stream. Monica Lombard say, I support South African wines. We need your wine. And she's also saying that it's true we became criminals. I want my wine and cigarettes. So, Monica, hopefully the wine and cigarette ban will be overturned shortly so that you can get your wine and cigarettes. I hope so for your sake. And then Petra Meyer said it's very encouraging to see the international support for South African wines. If there's anybody else that want to phone in, it's very, very easy. Just type in bit.ly/about wine and come chat to us. Come give us your opinion. I'm going to run over quickly to the Facebook group and give you guys a rundown and answer a few questions that's been asked in the Facebook group while I'm waiting for more people to actually come and give their opinion. Yeah. Just want to say thank you for our featured vineyard of the day, Seven Springs Vineyards. Um, it's great. We had Tim Pearson on here 2 days ago, and we are actually going to feature a vineyard every single time we have this. Uh, uh, what do you call a live stream? So if you guys are sitting out there in a winery and you want to be a featured vineyard on one of our live streams, please just email us at visitthewinelands at gmail.com. And let me go over to Facebook here and see what's going on. So our Facebook page has really been growing at a tremendous speed. We're in day 9 of Facebook. It's almost like we're counting the lockdown days. So we started at 0 members 9 days ago. I just want to say thank you to Wineland magazine for actually starting this initiative. We picked it up from them, and then we decided to run with it. And the guys from VinPro are doing a fantastic job in representing the industry. And we now have 27,165 people that have signed up onto our Facebook page. and our support, that are supporting this initiative. This is great. So the first question or the first remark on Facebook is from Sandy Rasmer. Sandy says that wine farms should advertise specials here, pay an order now and receive when the ban is lifted. I think this is a recurring theme that we've seen, and we'll see there in Sandy's comments. We are actually creating a list that we will publish of everybody that leaves a comment, all the wine farms leaving their comments and their online shops. We will put up a list and promote you guys. We would love it if any winery come up and speak to us, come chat to us. We are open to, if you're a marketing person at the winery or just work there or the winemaker, please call us, come talk to us, tell us your situation, tell us how you impacted, and let's get the awareness going. Olga Schulenberg said that she's got some wine, Pinotage, produced in Paarl, and she's in Fort St. John, Canada. Um, yes, this is absolutely great. Somebody just posted here. Sorry, I was distracted a little bit. So our wines are in Canada. I'm just there's quite an interesting post that just come up here that somebody asked and said, "What about the local wineries on this page? Promote their wine. Maybe include a short video or photos of your cellar with your best wines." Where locals can support you. Okay, guys. So yes, we are talking to the wineries. Actually, we've done more than 40 podcasts. Actually, we're doing our 50th podcast, are being sent out tomorrow, where we've actually interviewed wineries, winemakers, some wine farm owners, and we will actually put that on streaming live throughout the day, so that you can actually contact these guys and support them and buy wine from them. Um, Also, we are inviting anybody that wants to make a short 2 to 5 minute video. You have till midnight tonight because our 50th podcast are coming out tomorrow. We've already received quite a few videos uploaded to the Facebook group. Um, and this is not just restricted, this is to anybody that's interested in the winelands. If you're a winelands business, if you own a used car dealership in the winelands, or you own a butchery, or you own a coffee shop, or you just have a job in the wine, and send us your video of support. We'll put this into our 50th podcast. Of course, if you're a wine producer, we need you there. Lots of you guys have already sent in your videos. You've got until midnight tonight to send them in, and we will actually put this on your 50th podcast, where everybody can see it. I just want to thank our featured winery again, Seven Springs Winery, Tim Pearson. Thank you very, very much for your support, Tim. We've done a fantastic podcast with Tim. We streamed that before the live stream started, and it would be great if you guys would support Seven Springs, and of course any other wineries featured. You guys will see a link to Seven Springs vineyards in the comments below this live stream. We've already in the description we've posted it there. So so the Facebook group is really, really growing, and we need everyone in the Facebook group to actually frame their Facebook profiles with the Facebook frame we've created. There is a post that we've posted on there in the announcements on the group that explains how to do this. I see a lot of people that have done this. There's many that haven't done it yet, but I think it's important. It creates more awareness. We've got 300,000 jobs in the winelands that are currently under threat. So we need more and more people to actually support us. We are up to 27,184 people. And Andrew Bergman in Beverwijk, the Netherlands. 3 days ago, we posted greetings from Beverwijk in the Netherlands. He's cooking a bobotie with a South African wine. He says, as yet another fine South African vintage loses its head, bobotie without a good Cape wine is just a no-no. Rest assured that the considerable expat community, we can still buy wine, will continue to buy, drink and promote South African wine in those countries to which we've been carried into exile. So yes, thanks a lot. I see that our South African expat community has been very, very keen in actually supporting us, which is great, guys. We really, really appreciate you. And Louisa Oosthuizen made a comment here and says, Baboti goes with Mrs. Ball's chutney. And we see is on the picture that he has the chutney there, so that's great. Um, uh, Somebody just said Mick Hub 12 hours ago posted she got some KWV gin in Kent in the UK. Uh, it's a special at Morrison's supermarket in the UK at £22, which is not expensive. And Morrison's, if you're in the UK, all the big supermarkets groups, Morrison's, Tesco's, Waitrose, I heard that Waitrose have a 25% discount on all South African wines. I don't know if this is true, but anyway, this is uh, just fantastic. Anna Gaunt just posted a weekend at Lake Malawi, and all the better with this. And she's got a whole range of South African wine. It looks like about 20 bottles packed out there on her deck, and definitely supporting South African wines. Thank you very, very much. Um, Antoinette Olivier just posted, when I see how everyone around the world is buying our wines to support us, it makes me angry to think I myself can't even buy wine in my own country. Antoinette, I think a lot of people, a lot of us have the same feeling. We would love to be able to buy wine. Unfortunately, it's frustrating. Lots of comments here of other people echoing this frustration. Betsy Haynes just commented, supporting from Hong Kong. Happy to see our long-awaited shipment made it yesterday from home delivery in Hong Kong. And she's got some South African wine there. Lots of comments on that as well. Then we've had this fantastic, I just want to actually highlight this. I don't know, you guys know our famous chef Jan Hendrik with his restaurant Jan in Nice. Margareta Nieuwoud just posted this, and this has been posted many times. But he's been, I'm going to read his post, what he posted, and we just want to give him a big shout out and say thank you. It'd be great if we could get him to actually also phone us and talk to us. Jan, if you're listening, we'd love to talk to you. But his post is the following. South African wineries are going through an immense crisis at the moment. At restaurant Jan in France, we've made a decision to serve only South African wines. We're serving that with our pairing menus, and we are making South African wines available by glass exclusively. So if you're taking a glass of, if you getting into restaurant Jan and you're having a wine pairing in Nice, you'll have to drink South African wine by the glass. And he says that organizations across the globe are also stepping up to help our wineries survive this vicious ban on local sales. And then Jan says, I challenge all South African chefs and sommeliers abroad to do the same, and please support our amazing wineries as much as possible. Jan, you didn't have to do this. Thank you very much for doing this. You obviously love your country, and we love your support. And if we ever get down to Nice, we will pack your restaurant. So anybody over there, support Jan and his restaurant. Thank you for your support. Olga Schulenberg just posted 6 hours ago, produced and bottled in Paarl. I just read that. Fort St. John, Canada. Thank you very much. Somebody just posted Anne Clements, doing my bit from the UK. She's got a bottle of Chocolate Block and a bottle of Meerless Rubicon. And Elzaan van der Merwe 11 minutes ago said, I know it's not wine, but I'm supporting South Africa from Sydney, Australia. And she has a big bottle of Amarilla in her hand. It looks like, it just looks fantastic. So, supporting the liquor industry, buying Amarilla in Australia. Hannah Abernethy is at the Raleigh Wine Shop in North Carolina. And she says, happily supporting South African wines in our favorite local wine shop, counting down the days until we can ride the Franschhoek wine tram again. Yes, I mean, well, we wouldn't love going on the wine tram. So thank you for that. And yeah, there's lots of posts here on Facebook. I'm not going to go through all of it, but you guys get the idea. Somebody just posted here in the comments. Great news, Jan. Thanks for your tremendous support, Jeanette van Deventer. Thanks, Jeanette, for making a comment. Just by the way, everybody that's commenting here in our live stream are entered into our Fishwives Club T-shirt giveaway. So we'll have a happy draw after, or a lucky draw after the call. I see people sending likes and hearts. Yeah, and that's fantastic. I'd love it if anybody wants to give us a quick call here. We're going to be on for another 25 minutes. I'm going to have a quick a, a 2-minute break. I just need to quickly get some water, if you guys don't mind. I'll be back in 2 minutes, and we'll continue the conversation. In the meanwhile, if anybody wants to phone me, bit.ly/about wine, and I'd love to hear from you. Hi everyone, back here just from a short water break. That's what I was told to say by the political correctness police. So just came back from a short water break. And love it if somebody calls us and talk to us. We had John Platter on this morning. He called in quickly. John is retired, but he's still very interested in obviously what's going on in the wine industry. And we would love to hear some more people phoning in. Our featured vineyard for the day is Seven Springs Vineyards. You'll see there, we've got an explainer video playing in the background, and you'll see the lovely face of Tim Pearson, the owner of Seven Springs. And we're asking everybody on here to support Seven Springs. The wines are available, and Tim will get it out to you as soon as the lockdown ends. So please, support Tim and his winery. Actually, support all South African wineries, like everybody seems to be doing, which is fantastic. We have tremendous support from our international community, and yes, thank you very much. We're going to be on live again this afternoon at 2 o'clock. I've got a few announcements to make. We'll start off at about 1:30 with another winery that will be featured. This time it will be Dialine. We will actually feature Dialine at 2, so you can listen to the podcast. And after that, we will have a live call in from 2 o'clock. So anybody that wants to call in, give their opinion, make sure that you get onto the call by calling this, just typing in the Zoom link. And the link is bit.ly /about wine. And we welcome anybody on the Facebook page. We're streaming to the largest community